Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, 4 female students of Nasarawa State University kidnapped as fear grips community. Troops arrest 3 fugitives and kidnappers in Plateau State and Kaduna. IMF urges Nigeria's central bank to continue interest rate hike policy despite rising cost of living crisis. On the foreign scene, Red Cross warns of looming catastrophic humanitarian crisis as Israel-Hamas war rages. Many thanks for joining us on the News Hour. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We start in Nasarawa, where the state police the police command in Nasarawa State has confirmed the abduction of 4 students of Nasarawa State University, KEFI, after gunmen invaded KEFI local government area. A statement by the police command's public relations officer, Ramhan Nansel, says the incident was reported around 12:55 a.m. Now, he said the police, in collaboration with the military, responded to a distress call and combed the area without success as the abductors have left before the police team arrived. According to him, the state police commissioner has ordered for a manhunt of the suspects with a view to rescuing the victims unhurt. Now let's get to Nasarawa State for some update on this development. Joining us via phone is Abraham Habu Ekbo. He is the Information and Protocol Officer at the Nasarawa State University, KEFI. Mr. Abraham, good evening and thank you very much for joining us on the News Hour. What can you tell us about the circumstances surrounding the incident and how these 4 female students were taken?
Okay. Good evening and thank you for having me. Let me see that what you just mentioned earlier is a true reflection of what happened in KEFI. But yesterday we had the ugly incident of having 4 of our students dead by unknown gunmen. And as that may be, the university is affected directly because these 4 young lads are our students who all of them are in 100 level. The university swung into action and went to the scene of the abduction through intel we got via our SUG leadership. As I speak to you, the organ responsible for this kind of engagement, that is the security unit, has been in touch with the situation area and parents, the security agencies, notably the Nigerian police, Nigerian army, and the anti-kidnapping squad of the Nigerian police. So that is that for now, and we're waiting for response, which unofficially we had that the kidnappers are communicating with parents.
Right. Abra, what can you tell us about where the attack happened? Was it on campus, off campus? Where were these students taken from?
The students were picked from the residence, which is an off-campus area.
Right.
We are aware that most universities in Nigeria, except for private universities, they don't have facilities to cater for 100% accommodation for students. And as such, those who couldn't or don't have accommodation inside the campus resort to off-campus areas. And as such, these affected students stay in the area that's referred to as Angwan Kai, which is a neighborhood of a government area, BCG. And that is the area the incident happened. So they are not residents in the campus, they are off-campus resident students.
And from what you're able to gather, was this specific attack to kidnap the students, or were they just victims of a circumstance?
For now, we'll allow that for security investigation to look at the issues, how it happened. But we cannot say for sure if it's a deliberate target or it's random. But they come around to such kind of area, and whoever they find, might be a possible victim. But for now, we cannot say for sure if it's incidental or it's direct approach to these 4 victims.
And how is the university responding to this development? I mean, it's obvious that universities have come under attack for quite some time. Kidnapping has been on a rise of late. I mean, case in point, the recent attack in the Federal University in Gusau in Zamfara State. And it's safe to say that other universities are keeping a keen eye on some of these developments. And Nasarawa State has had its own fair share of some of these attacks in the time past. Give me a sense of how the university is trying to create some sort of safety for students, especially considering the security concerns.
Prior to now, we are aware of the issues you mentioned, that universities are under attack via this ugly approach by bandits and the likes. But we are aware at the university, and we swung into action and approached the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps, who we are aware have an approach they refer to as the safe school system. The safe school approach is to domicile what they call the arms court in a zone, so that the checkmate whatever such kind of occurrence will happen around. And as such, since we went to the highest level of the agency, we had interaction with the CG, the Commandant General, and he so gladly offered us the residency of the squad. So we have them domiciled in the university. We have an arms court in the university that is having the responsibility of safeguarding the immediate community and its environs.
Right.
And let me report to you that prior to now, there were incidences of theft, burglary, and some other petty incidents of crime around our off-campus area. And this agency we brought came into action and did their best. And before now, there was some level of safety, if not for this recent approach which happened yesterday around that area.
Right. Just before we go, give me a sense of the proximity of the area of the incident where these female students were taken to the university facility itself. And also, what can you tell us about the response time? The police talked about receiving a distress call at around 12:55 a.m. So that's the middle of the night, essentially. Give me a sense of how fast help came to those who actually called on the police.
As I mentioned to you earlier, security issues are ordinarily left with the persons who have expertise in handling this. Ours is to gather information just like they're doing and to disseminate accordingly. We are aware that our students immediately called neighbors and reached across to the SUG, who as well, because the SUG is an organized union, they have the intel of the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Police and whatnot. They immediately called on the Nigerian Police, and from the information that I got, the Nigerian Police were there some minutes before the abductors left the scene.
Right. Have they made any contact, the kidnappers that is, have they made contact demanding ransom or anything, or can you not establish anything as at this moment?
Officially, I can't state that there is anything of such.
Right.
But I'm aware that there are intimations from many quarters that has been done. But at our desk for now, we've not gotten that information.
All right, we're going to have to leave it here for now. Abraham Hagbepo, the Information and Protocol Officer at the University, Nasarawa State University, KEFI. Thank you for joining us on the news hour, and we appreciate the information to the conversation. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Right. Now, moving on to some of the day's other news, still staying with security. Operatives in Bauchi State have neutralized 67 bandits, rescuing more than 25 victims from captivity in Lere Forest of Tafa Balewa local government area in the state. The Sarkin Lere Jamilu Bawa made the disclosure during a visit by Governor Bala Muhammad and security chiefs to volatile communities in the area. Trust TV's Adamu Imam has more.
Armed banditry has continued in some parts of Bauchi State, with Tafawa Balewa local government area not spared. The circular says the success recorded in the area is as a result of collaborative efforts among security agencies with hunters and vigilante groups in the area. He further explained that the operatives engaged bandits in gun duels several times. Security personnel always support us, and this led to the killing of 67 kidnappers that usually block our major roads. We also rescue more than 28 in the hands of captives, waiting for ransom of 10, 20 to 30 million naira before they were to be released. This happened without paying a penny to the bandits. We thank the police and the governor for the support we get from them. The state governor, Bala Mohammed, appreciated the courage exhibited by the security men and supported them with 10 million naira cash and 30 motorcycles. He appealed to federal government to support the fight against bandits.
We are calling on the federal government to also support us. The fact that we are keeping quiet does not mean that we are all hale and hearty. We are taking the brunt. As they are working on the side of terrorism, we are getting the backlash. And that is why, because we are surrounded by 7 states, we are a gateway to prosperity, and we are also a gateway of criminality. Our security agencies are overstretched, that we are working together with minimal support. I will definitely make a case to the federal government, whatever support they are giving my colleagues in the Northwest to come and give us here.
The State Commissioner of Police, Awal Mohammed, emphasized the need for synergy between security agencies and called for more efforts in tackling any form of insecurity in the state.
I want to reassure the state governor and all stakeholders in this issue of security, as it concerns all of us, that we will try to continue to maintain a peaceful environment, and we assure all the stakeholders equally that we'll continue to do our best.
Adami Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Staying with other security developments, troops of Operation Safe Haven on Operation Hakurin Damisa 4 have arrested 13 suspects in connection with kidnapping, prison break and cattle rustling. The operation also said it has recovered arms and ammunition as well as illicit drugs across various operations. According to the spokesperson of the operation, Captain Oya James, they have arrested 3 prison escapees. Captain James says the tactical team of the operation had arrested a notorious kidnapper known as Buba Ibrahim at Tilden Fulani village in Toro local government area of Bauchi State, and in the process recovered 1 Beretta pistol. He added that the troops recovered a total of 279 cows, 6 sheep for destroying farms across Bokos, Mangu, Riom and Zango Kataf local government areas of Plateau and Kaduna states. Captain James says a total of 13 arrests were effected, 4 victims rescued from kidnappers, one cattle rustler arrested, 7 drug dealers nabbed, 2 attacks on vulnerable communities were repelled within the period, and 23 distress calls were promptly responded to. A little earlier, we spoke to Daily Trust reporter in Jos, the Plateau State capital, Ado Musa, who gave us an update on the development.
All the 13 suspects were arrested in connection with different criminal offenses within the joint area of Operation Safe Haven, which include Plateau, Bauchi, and Kaduna states. According to the spokesperson of the operation, Captain Oya James, the 3 prison escapees were arrested in Bakin Chiawa, a community in Kompang local government area of Plateau State. And he said it was in the course of investigation they were able to identify them among the escapees of the 2022 Jos jailbreak. He said upon conclusion of investigation, they will all be charged to court.
Now, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has reaffirmed the commitment of the Nigerian military towards ensuring peace and stability despite the current security challenges in the country. The Chief of Defense Staff also charged frontline troops to eliminate the threat of Boko Haram and ISWAP in northeast Nigeria.
It is the first operational tour by the Chief of Defense Staff to Borno State for debriefing by Operation Haɗin Kai Theater officers on its activities. After a closed-door session, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, told journalists that the army will restore total peace in Nigeria. He said those under the captivity of terrorists will be rescued.
It is our desire, and as mandated by the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, President Bola Asiwaju Tinubu, for us to ensure that there is total peace in the Northeast. And by saying total peace in Nigeria, those that have been kidnapped, we are making every effort to ensure that we restore them back, bring them back. And to the criminals, their days are numbered. It's just a matter of time. We are going to get them all. So for their own sake, we advise them to surrender or fizzle out of the country completely.
The defense chief paid a visit to hospitalized troops at 7th Division Hospital. He later addressed frontline troops of Operation Haɗin Kai in the Mai Malari cantonment, where he charged them to eliminate terrorists before being posted to another theater. While assuring that their welfare will be addressed, warned the troops to desist from drug abuse, which he said is the handiwork of enemies of the country.
As we are getting more recruits into the system, both the Army, Air Force, Navy, and other paramilitary, we will ensure that nobody stays more than 2 years, so that you come and do your own beat and go. And it is not just to come and sleep. You come and make sure you look for Boko Haram and kill. Anybody who comes to theater and finishes without killing one Boko Haram is not complete. So you must make sure before you go, not be so. That's the only way we can finish them. Look for them.
It is believed that the visit of the Chief of Defense Staff, the theater, will lead to positive changes in the coming months. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
And in Lagos, the Nigerian Army says it will remove unexploded ordnances at the site of the 2002 bomb explosion in Ikeja Cantonment to Ogun State. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, who disclosed this during a courtesy visit to the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu in Marina, says the exploded ordnances would be relocated to a safe location in the Ajilete area of Ogun State. The service chief says his visit was to intimate Governor Sanwo-Olu on the Army's activities to be conducted in Lagos, noting that the exercises were designed to further entrench peace and stability in the state. Governor Sanwo-Olu thanked the Nigerian Army for committing to the rules of engagement and professionalism in its peace mission across the country, adding that the Army continues to live up to the expectations of their roles as provided by the Nigerian Constitution. He stressed that the sacrifice paid by soldiers to keep the territorial integrity and peace of the country will not go unappreciated. And flood disasters have claimed at least 33 lives in parts of Adamawa State since the beginning of the current wet season. The Adamawa State Emergency Management Agency disclosed this on Tuesday, saying 1,600 households that comprises 9,960 individuals were displaced by flood waters and are taking shelter in 11 camps across the state. The Executive Secretary of the State Emergency Management Agency, Muhammad Suleiman, speaking at stakeholders meeting summoned to address flood-related challenges in the state, says the agency has established the relief camps in 4 badly affected local government areas that include Yolo North, the state capital, Yola South, Lamurde, and Demsa. The meeting discussed matters arising from increased volume of water from the river banks. Staying with flood-related developments, with the pronouncement of the National Emergency Management Agency on flooding across Nigeria, residents of flood-prone areas in Benue State now live with the fear of a possible reoccurrence of last year's flood disaster in the state. Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia has restated the commitment of his administration to putting in place a proactive measure that will mitigate the effects of flooding on residents. Jimmy Azandi tells us more.
Flood or any other disaster is not the kind of experience one should go through again and again in their lifetime. But this is the reality for the residents of water-prone areas in Benue State, who now live in fear every rainy season.
Because if the thing affect us here, no be small suffer, we dey suffer. When we go house now, you go see many people for one room. More than 20, 30 man we dey for one room. That one no good and no help. And our government now they're supposed to help us, but they no help. And so we dey suffer. This one now where they come now, our mind no rest. We don't know how this one go be. We dey for fear now.
Sometime years ago, they give us Susan thank you, and they give us international market side. So I don't know how the federal government or the state government will make arrangement for it. We will welcome that if that is given to us, because most of the time we will feel stranded if those places are not given to us.
The residents trace the current wave of flooding to 2012 and stress the need to dredge the river Benue.
I'm up to 50 years now. The time I was 15, 20 years, this river was not like this. You know, we have this this bamboo tree that we paddle with it. By then, there is a period that there is a place that this bamboo tree cannot, you will swallow the bamboo tree. But now, that place now is filled with sand. The river now is no more as it is before. The depth is not as much as of before. It's filled.
For a short-term solution, the Benue State government said plans are in place to mitigate the effect on residents.
We have received a land that, for now, NEMA informed us that we should be concentrating on 8 local governments of Katsina, Kwande, Buluku, Goma, Kaka, Makwedi, West Olagatu. And yesterday, the government set up emergency coordinating unit involving about 11 commissioners who are experts in areas. So the committee met yesterday. We are going to finalize arrangement to put up final touches to our evacuation plan so that we move people to safety areas.
The water level is rising. This is a signal for imminent flooding. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
In other news, the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, has disclosed that the federal government is planning to resume the dredging of rivers Niger and Benue. The minister made the announcement in an interview after a courtesy visit on the Kwara State Governor, Abdurrahman Abdurazak, who made a passionate plea for the dredging of the rivers at the government house in Ilorin. Utsev added that his ministry has put in place committees in place to work on the modalities for the dredging of rivers Niger and Benue.
The dredging of River Niger and Benue is what we are working on. And we have actually put some committees in place that we are going to do the assessment of this. And by the time we are okay with the assessment, we cannot unveil it, we cannot discuss with Mr. President, and at that point in time, can make it open to Nigerians to know where we are.
But one of the main challenges I want you to take up is the issue of the dredging of the river Niger Benue down to the Delta. It's essential you start that immediately because of the damages it's causing to the national economy, damages to food security, issues of internally displaced people. People are leaving their original abode because of the water levels.
Now, a Nigerian Army Special Court Marshal sitting in Abuja on Tuesday declared that it has found a former Group Managing Director, Nigerian Army Properties Limited, Major General Umar Mohammed, guilty of siphoning funds that belonged to the organization. Major General Umar was tried for alleged forgery misappropriation of funds, and conspiracy, among others. The accused had, however, pleaded not guilty to all the charges leveled against him. But at the resumed sitting on Tuesday, where the judgment was delivered, the 8-man panel led by Major General James Miam stated that the convicted senior military officer was found guilty in 14 out of the 18 charges leveled against him. The panel ordered that Major General Mohammed be jailed for 5 years each for some of the offences, while some others carried 7 and 2 years respectively. While explaining that the sentences will run concurrently, the court also directed that the general should refund some of the funds into the account of the organization. While you're watching the news on Trust TV, coming up ahead, it's more money, more problems for civil servants as inflation continues to bite hard despite government's intervention. More on this and many other stories coming up ahead after the break.
It was never a consensus. We did all our best. You see, in politics, you give your contribution to the best of your ability.
If you want, I'll forward to you this statement. You go to this bank and verify.
But there are people who say not spending money is not about you in itself.
Let me finish.
Because there's so much to be done.
Let me finish. Now, you don't allow me to explain myself.
The recent development shows abductions are now a factor of informants embedded in community.
It's not about the people of Katsina to say that, no, during my administration I was able to stop insecurity. No, it's about collective responsibility for all of us.
And what we should ask ourselves is not what has been seen, is the life better? Are there more people who are unemployed who are not become employed? Is the level of corruption has gone down? Is there inclusion? All those issues.
We're actually a gas country with associated oil. Our focus has always been on oil, that we have never paid significant attention to gas.
To do it effectively, we need to have honest conversation with ourselves. Government needs to come down from its higher horse and communicate with the people and build trust.
There must be a solution. We cannot continue this way. They must come back to the table and agree. So whose child will do deny education? All these children that sit for jam, they want to go to higher institutions.
But just a short while ago you were saying that why bring 10 children when you cannot cater for them? So why bring more universities when you cannot cater for the existing?
Welcome back to the news and thank you very much for staying with us. Here's a quick reminder of our top stories at this hour. Terrorists kidnap 4 female students in Nasarawa State University. Troops arrest 3 fugitives and kidnappers in Plateau and Kaduna states. The All Progressive Congress in Bayelsa State says it will appeal the Federal High Court judgment disqualifying Timipre Silva, its candidate in the forthcoming governorship election in the state. Justice Donatus Okoro on Monday ruled that Timipre Silva, having been sworn in twice and served 5 years as governor of the state, would breach the 1999 Constitution as amended if allowed to contest again. The party, in a statement Tuesday by its Director, Media and Publicity for the APC Bayelsa Governorship Campaign Council, Perry Tukwe, argued that the suit by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, was in breach of Nigeria's Electoral Act. Tukwe argued that Section 29 and 84 of the 2022 Electoral Act states that only persons who contested primary elections of a political party can have local standing to file a pre-election matter to challenge the qualification of the party's candidate in any election. Hence, the PDP's candidate is not a member of the APC and didn't contest the party's governorship primaries and does not have the local standing to sue in the matter. According to him, Section 285 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, enjoins any aggrieved party to file an election matter within 14 days of the occurrence of the event, But the case was filed on the 13th of June 2023, whereas the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, published the names of the governorship candidates for Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi on the 12th of May 2023. This, according to his argument, makes the case statute barred as it was filed outside the constitutionally provided 14 days period. Ahead of the 2023 governorship election in Imo State, residents in the state are calling on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to ensure a free, fair, and credible election. A cross-section of residents, while expressing some level of dissatisfaction over the previous election conducted in the state by the electoral umpire, say integrity of the process is the panacea to political stability. Trust TV's Ajibade Praise has details of the story.
Although the political activities leading to the November 11th governorship election in the state are in top gear, not all residents seem to be interested in the poll. Some of them told Trust TV the reasons behind their disinterest in the poll.
INEC. See, as they see me like this, INEC, I don't trust INEC at all. Looking at the last election, you know what they do? You see, as last election take day, they don't do anything about them. So this election, when they come like this, I know even my PVC self like this. I don't even find my PVC like this.
INEC really raised our hopes. You know, during the last 2022 elections, general elections, they really raised our hopes that our votes will count. But what did we have there? I mean, our hopes were dashed.
According to them, past elections held in the state did not meet the expectation of many who fear a reoccurrence, which they say they will not want to experience again.
There's no confidence in INEC. You see, many times we have built our confidence in INEC. You understand what I'm saying? We came out and voted, but still they messed the whole thing. See that somebody will come up and vote, and then it will be counted. Everybody will know. Look at what you got in a polling unit. But when they begin to call make their whatever, the announcement, you begin to hear something different. So the reason why people are tearing their voters card is because INEC has failed and failed and failed. But it will be very good for them to brace up this time.
Effort made to get the resident electoral commissioner in the state, Professor Sylvia Agu, to react to the matter proved abortive, as at the time of filing this report, we were told she traveled. For Ifeanyi Eluwa, the state chairman of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, his confidence in INEC is still intact, and as such admonished residents to be hopeful for the best.
Yes, I'm highly confident. The vote of the people will count. You know, I think we have held several meetings, several workshops with INEC, and with what I'm seeing, I'm telling you, INEC is gonna do a wonderful job this time around.
INEC at several fora has assured residents of the state of their readiness to conduct an acceptable election. But many received those assurances with a pinch of salt, despite their desire for a free, fair, and credible election. Ajibade Praise, Trust TV News, Owerri.
Now, despite government's plan to give civil servants a wage increment that will help augment income shortfalls vis-a-vis the rising inflation in Nigeria, residents in Bauchi State say it is too little to make a significant impact on their lives as commodity prices continue to rise. Trust TV's Adam Imam has more on the story.
Some residents who spoke to Trust TV lament on the increase of price of food items daily. According to them, is always a source of concern, hence the need for government to look inward and change economic strategy for the benefit of common people. Government should have a strategy of checking and balancing what is happening inside our markets. If they cannot do it, they can do so in disguise, so that they can know the previous and present prices of food items. I think that will give them first-hand information on whether or not to regulate them if need be, because Only the masses know how they are struggling to survive this economic hardship. Just yesterday, I bought fuel of 1,000 naira, dropped just a short distance, and it's finished. But before, 450 naira worth of petrol was enough to take me to and fro. So the fuel price increase has impacted negatively on us. Even transporting our cows to town is 3,500 naira, unlike in the past, where it was 1,000 naira. Government should do something, please. Others attributed the problems to lack of market supervision and price control by the government, noting that increasing earnings of federal government workers will not augur well with many Nigerians.
Everything about the country relies on transportation costs. Yeah. So I think if they can work on the transportation, about the fuel subsidy, that's very okay.
That things now are very, very expensive. I don't know, maybe it's inflation, I will call it now. It should be, because things are very, even though you come to the market with 200,000, the goods that you go home with, honestly, you'll be amazed. When you get to the house, you'll even calculating as if you lost money. Honestly, they should help us.
However, they appeal for well-to-do Nigerians to help complement government effort towards finding lasting solution to the economic crisis in the country. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
And in Osun State, the current economic hardship in the country has taken a toll on the education sector in light of the hike in tuition fees and prices of textbooks and other items. In the state, residents are decrying the current economic situation, which has diminished the purchasing power of most parents, limiting their capacity to pay for school fees and other sundry charges. Hamid Oyebade has more.
The current economic hardship in Nigeria poses serious challenge to the nation's educational development. Many parents are finding it difficult to pay school fees, buy school uniform, textbooks, and stationaries, among other items needed to retain their wards in school. Parents are lamenting that schools are increasing tuition fees at a time that their businesses suffer setback after the removal of the fuel subsidy.
Me as a parent, it's not been easy, honestly. And like last time now, their school fees was like 10,000 naira. And this time, it's like 15,000 naira. See the difference. It's somehow costly. And stock of the textbooks, it's somehow sharp.
It's not easy at all, but we don't have choice. We need to send our children back to school. The economy is hard. Everything is too expensive. Likewise, now the school payment has been increased. The school fees has been increased.
Like me now, I'm a single mother. So I'm the one sponsoring my son by myself. So the school fees is quite more expensive. Like assuming like last week like this, I paid like almost like 117,000 naira for just 7-year-old son.
A financial expert, David Awotikpe, advised parents on budgeting and planning according to their earnings to avoid needless financial burden so as to cater for the education of their children.
Schools are getting more on the increase, the fees are getting more on the increase, coupled with the fact that you need to pay for some school, you need to pay for new uniform, new textbook, and the tuition fee. So the best advice is for people to pay according to their pockets, and you just have to adjust your finances. I'm so too sure that the financial situation in the country for now is not as expected, and the best bet for now is for everyone to cut your finances according to your ability.
Given the importance of education to national development, government at all levels are expected to address impediments to learning and facilitate access to education for children and young adult Nigerians. Hamid Oyebade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
Now, developing countries on the African continent, including big economies like Nigeria and South Africa, continuously face constraints imposed by Western powers, which militate against sustainable economic growth and prosperity. Experts have opined that although globalization is a good concept, developing countries like Nigeria are still at a disadvantage considering indices like trade imbalance and restrictive policies that stunt economic growth. In this report, Noel Samson takes a look at what developing countries like Nigeria can do to unlock their full economic potentials.
Nigerians are known to be resilient in nature, but that resilience needs to be directed at the economy through sustainable policy interventions from the federal government.
These strategies from the rhythm of monetary strategies, fiscal strategies, environmental strategies. We want to look at also issue of governance. We want to look at ways and means that we can have social inclusion so that people who are on the lower rank of the ladder would also be carried along.
However, the federal and state governments have been putting policies on ground to help build this resilience for transformational recovery.
There are so many. Of course, there's a very popular one around fuel subsidy that has been done already. Then also there's the one around the Naira value, around the Naira exchange rate. Even though a little bit misconstrued, what the government has done is to try and unify the official exchange rate. But people keep on quoting the black market rate. So I think that some other new policies are expected to ensure that that sector is streamlined properly. The initial policies are very tough policies, but what this means, especially the removal of subsidies, you see that in the FAC meetings, Federal Allocations Account Committee meetings, they've been having a whole lot more money to share. And that means that the states have a lot more money to share. And that means that people should also focus on their state governments and state governors to ensure that they do the right thing, they invest appropriately.
We have a lot of things we are putting on ground, especially in the sector of agriculture, mining. We have also issues of, the pet project of His Excellency is the free education project, which is also another way of stopping the illegalities of youths, participation of youths in illegalities in the state.
Economic growth increases state capacity and the supply of public goods. When economies grow, states can tax that revenue and gain the capacity and resources needed to provide the public goods and services that their citizens need, like healthcare, education, social protection, and basic public services. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Well, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to continue with its interest rate hike regime to ensure a more stable and sustained recovery. The IMF also applauded these recent economic reforms in Nigeria on fuel subsidies and unifying the official exchange rates, saying these reforms are a pathway towards stronger and inclusive growth. IMF Divisional Chief Daniel Lee, who gave the commendation at the launch of the World Economic Outlook report in Marrakesh in Morocco on Monday, says President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reforms are paving the way towards stronger and inclusive growth. The IMF argues that fiscal policy should continue consolidating public finances while providing targeted social assistance to the most vulnerable. The Nigerian Senate has directed 5 of its committees to commence an investigation into oil theft and its impact on petroleum production and oil revenues in the country. The directive was made to the relevant committees on the floor of the Nigerian Senate during Tuesday's plenary.
The committees which were given the mandate include committees on petroleum upstream, downstream, gas, Niger Delta, and that in charge of host communities. The resolution was reached after a debate on a motion sponsored by Senator Nnedi Nwoke and 2 others. In his lead debate, Nwoke noted that in March 2023, Nigeria lost 65.7 million barrels of crude oil, valued at $83 per barrel, translating to revenue loss of 2.3 trillion naira as a result of oil theft.
The motion is for urgent need to investigate the incessant and nefarious acts of crude oil thefts in the Niger Delta and the actors.
Contributing to the debate, other lawmakers highlighted the need to address the issue of oil theft and its attendant consequences on the environment and the Nigerian economy.
What I would suggest is not for us to continue to lament or set up inquiries. My suggestion, Mr. President, is that given the seriousness of this situation, and I will dare say before the new government, each agent gets sucked into the tradition, this is the time to stop it.
There have not been any punitive measure. And the moment we continue like this, it will just be go day in, day out. It become a lucrative business because nobody is being punished for it.
The president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, who also supported the issues raised by his colleagues, urged the investigative panel to come up with lasting solutions.
Into the actions of security forces, militia groups, the local populace, oil company employees, and any individual or entities suspected to be using sophisticated methods to pilfer our oil resources from the oil facilities within our country. Those in support of the prayer one say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The committees were given 6 weeks to report back to plenary. Rashidat Yusuf for Trust TV News.
Well, you're watching the news hour on Trust TV. We'll take a moment's break. We'll be back with more news after this.
If you desire to fulfill your Hajj obligation but cannot afford to pay at a go, you need not to worry anymore. Jaiz Bank PLC, in collaboration with National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACAN, and the State Pilgrims Welfare Boards have jointly introduced Hajj Savings Scheme to help you fulfill your wish. Whether you're a caterer, a farmer, a petty trader, or a parent who wishes to start saving for their children and be getting profit at the same time, this scheme is for you. Visit any of the Jaiz Bank branches or Hajj Commission offices nearest to you to enroll, or go to www.hajsavings.jaizbankplc.com to register. For further information, contact info@jaizbankplc.com or call the number 070-077-30000.
Welcome back to the news. The House of Representatives has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to implement monetary policy adjustments that will stabilize the naira from its slide against US dollar and other major foreign currencies. Following the adoption of a motion moved by Ismaila Haruna Dabo at plenary on Tuesday, the House stated that the Apex Bank must address speculative activities in the forex market and increase the withdrawal limit of the naira to reduce the demand and the pressure on dollar and other foreign currencies. Presenting the motion, he recalled that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had on June this year announced changes to the country's foreign exchange market through the Central Bank of Nigeria to allow foreign currencies to be bought and sold at rates determined by the market and not the central bank.
Urge the Central Bank of Nigeria to implement monetary policy adjustment to stabilize the currency, address speculative activities in the forex market, and increase the withdrawal limit of naira to reduce pressure on dollars and foreign currencies. Despite the regulation,
putting pressure on our currency today is that we are import dependent. Nigeria is depending so much on everything. We import everything into this country. And we need to encourage agriculture by all means.
What are the politics can do that will bring about import substitution and export promotion? That's the only thing we can do that will give us opportunity to have more foreign exchange. And we cannot be a producing nation if you are still having power problem in this country. We cannot, there's no way we can produce.
Those in support of the amendment, the motion as amended, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
Now, Palestinian ambassador to Nigeria, Abdullah Shawes, says there are hundreds of bodies of casualties beneath the rubble following the sustained artillery and aerial bombardment by Israeli forces on civilian targets in Gaza in a renewed onslaught against Hamas fighters. Ambassador Shawes made the remarks while addressing a news conference in Abuja, saying the death toll from the recent attacks continues to rise, with women and children unaccounted for. Trust TV Shafiu Suleiman reports.
These horrific terror acts.
Israeli government had on Monday announced a total war after Hamas fighters launched unprecedented attacks. It also ordered blockade against Gaza, just as it cuts fuel and electricity supply in response to the rocket attacks by the armed wing of Hamas. Speaking on the decades-long conflict triggered by continuous occupation of Palestinian territory, the envoy gives an update on the Israeli military action against the resistance.
The health sector dealt with 3,726 cases. 687 cases was killed, or innocent people was killed. 105 is women, 140 child, 123,000 is a internally displaced person, seven hospitals was attacked, 11 ambulance was completely destroyed, 5 of the medical team or medical doctors and nurse and others was killed till now.
While condemning the killing of women and children by both sides of the conflict, the Palestinian ambassador chided the United States of America for emboldening the Israeli government through logistics and financial support.
Any human life, whether he's child, woman, elderly person, or young one, is matter. Any human life, Nigerian life, African human life, Palestinian human life, Israeli human life, it's a matter of principle, and we should stress on this principle. Yes, I condemn all the Israeli act against the Palestinian women, against the Palestinian children. I want you to shed light, just to Google how much the Israeli and how much the Israeli conducting crimes against our women, how many women was killed by the Israeli force, how many women and how many child was killed only in this war.
The Palestinian envoy also described as inadequate the call for cessation of hostilities by the UN and other key figures in the international system without opposition to the continued occupation by Israel, which is the source of the protracted conflict. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Or more from that development, as the president of the International Committee of the Red Cross on Tuesday says the violence in Israel and Gaza is heading towards a, quote, humanitarian disaster. Mirjana Spoljaric said the violence that has occurred since Saturday was unprecedented and warns that targeting civilians could lead to further violence. Spoljaric said that the ICRC has communicated with all parties to remind them of their obligations and responsibilities under international humanitarian law. He urges the parties to take every possible step to prevent civilians from further harm, noting that all sides must exercise restraint and protect civilians' lives and property. Spoljaric reminded parties that killing civilians and ill treatment are prohibited by the Geneva Conventions, which also demands that the wounded and sick are catered for. Now let's bring you up to speed with the latest in sports. Here's Emmanuel Fashemi with the latest.
Nigerian Bayer Leverkusen striker Victor Boniface has been nominated for the Bundesliga Rookie of the Month award for September. Boniface won the prestigious honor in August after an excellent first-month performance in the German top flight. The Nigerian forward scored 3 goals, 2 assists to beat RB Leipzig youngster Xavi Simons and SC Freiburg goalkeeper Noah Tubolu to the award. Boniface's brilliance also saw him named the Bundesliga Player of the Month in August, outshining Bayern Munich striker and fellow new arrival to Germany, Harry Kane. The Super Eagles striker has not removed his foot off the pedal as he has been excellent in September. The 22-year-old forward netted another 4 goals and contributed an assist to put himself back in the running for the Rookie of the Month award. Boniface netted a brace and added an assist as Bayer Leverkusen defeated Darmstadt on September 2nd. He will once again be the favorite to win the award, but he faces tough competition from RB Leipzig's exciting youngster Xavi Simons and TSG Hoffenheim ace Maximilian Beer. Still on football, former Chelsea star Eden Hazard has openly declared his retirement from football at the age of 32. Hazard has been without a club since his Real Madrid contract expired at the end of last season. In December last year, following Belgium's exit from the World Cup, Hazard announced his retirement from international football. Last season, he was restricted to just 6 league appearances for Real, and in total, he only scored 7 goals in 76 appearances for the club. Hazard confirmed the news of his retirement on his social media pages on Tuesday. He was quoted as saying, "You must listen to yourself and say stop at the right time. After 16 years and more than 700 matches played, I have decided to end my career as a professional footballer." He played 352 games for the Blues and scored 110 goals while he provided 92 assists. During his spell at Stamford Bridge, he won 2 Premier League titles, the FA Cup, the League Cup, and 2 Europa League Cups. On the international stage, he played 126 times for Belgium and scored 33 goals, with only Romelu Lukaku having scored more for the country. And that is it on sports. I am Emmanuel Fashemi.
Well, that's the size of our package tonight. Thank you most kindly for joining us. We do appreciate your time and company. Here's a quick reminder: join us across our social media platforms to catch up with our content, and you can also visit trusttv.com for the latest news. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you as always for your time, and good night.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.